Hey, it's Lisa Robbin Young here, and I want to talk to you about the holiday season because we're right in the middle of it. And wanted to give you guys some tips on how to make the most of this time of year. A lot of the tips that I'm going to share with you, you can actually use any time of year, but I find for most direct sellers, it really comes in handy to be thinking about these things right now. And the first thing I want to talk about is just staying organized. It's critically important right now, especially because most direct sellers have way more shows this time of year than they do any other time of year, and it's very easy to let your system slip, to collect up all of those wish lists and info cards and customer care cards and not put them in your system because you don't have time, because you're prepping for your next show. Take the time. Don't slough off on this one thing, because this one thing is critical to keeping your business rolling for the rest of the year. If you've got 10 shows in the month of December and all of you're doing is pulling all this stuff together, and you've got 10 shows in the month of November and you're just kind of putting it all in a pile to get to later, you're not going to get to it. Or you're going to spend the last 2 weeks of December and the first 2 weeks of January trying to get your systems back online, and it's going to slow you down. You can fill up your calendar in November and December and then not be able to take on any more shows because you're just so busy with busy work. Another great way to kind of stay on top of that is to invest in some help for the holidays. Even if you don't have a VA for the rest of the year, get someone, whether it's a virtual assistant or you hire one of your kids or a neighbor kid or your husband and pay him in back rubs. Get someone to help you stay on top of the holiday paperwork, because you have more shows this time of year. There's just a lot more of it, and that's a lot more of your time that's being spent doing non-IPA work. And we've talked about that before. Income producing activities, important personal activities. You want to be able to pass off the stuff that's not going to serve you, especially during the holidays when it's already kind of crazy to begin with. But you don't want to let that stuff fall through the cracks, because if you do, you are going to regret it later. Because if you're doing November shows and you don't get that paperwork in until January, it's 2 months since someone submitted an order, at least 2 months, maybe even 3 or 4, before you've reached back out to them and done any customer follow-up because you didn't have their information put into your system. So have a system, maintain that system, and stay organized to the best of your abilities during the holidays. Second thing I want to talk to you about is host coaching. This is the most critical time of the year because you're booking shows now for next year, and it is uber critical that you stay on top of what's going on with your hosts, because they'll book a show now, and if you're not staying in contact with them, touching base with them on a regular basis, you're going to find out come February they're not going to do a show. Well, I never heard from you. I wasn't even sure you were still going to do it. The number one reason that hosts cancel is because they didn't invite anybody. The number two reason is because they didn't get any contact, or didn't get what they feel was enough contact from their consultant to know whether or not the show was even going to hold. So that's why they didn't invite anybody. Have a host coaching system. When we talk about it in Direct Sales 101, we have a timeline for a 2-week out party and anything beyond 2 weeks out, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 weeks out. It's a step-by-step. You know exactly when you're supposed to call them, email them, write to them, touch bases with them. Use whatever system works for you, but make sure you have a system that you can follow and stay consistent with even through the holidays. And if you don't have hosts that book regularly during the holidays, but you have some regular hosts, send them a holiday card. Let them know that you're thinking about them this time of year and that you value their business, even if they're not actively doing business with you during this time of year. So keep those things in mind. One of the other things that I like to do with my hosts that are actually having shows this time of year is when I give them the catalog, and they get their free shopping spree and they get to pick all this stuff out of the catalog, I have them look through the catalog with 2 viewpoints. One for themselves, what they're shopping for themselves. But then the other thing I want them to do is go through that catalog and look at it through the eyes of their guests, the people who are coming to their parties. What do they see in the catalog that person would just love? Oh, Cindy, I was looking on page 31 and there was this necklace that I just know you would love. Are you coming to the party? It gives them a great way to get those RSVPs taken care of without it sounding like, are you coming to my party to buy stuff? And that they don't want to sound pushy any more than you want to sound pushy. So when you give them the opportunity to look at this process in a way that helps them serve their guests, they're much more excited about this. And then at the shows, when you are doing wish lists, and a lot of people do wish lists only this time of year, write down the stuff that you see in the catalog that you want, kind of a thing, and then you keep that on file for yourself so that when that thing goes on special, you can reach back out to that guest. Do that all year round. And what I do at Christmas, and I also do this at Valentine's Day, I do it close to Mother's Day, take that list and make a copy of it and get permission from them to forward that list on to some of their friends or to their spouse or their significant others, so that those people know this is what Cindy wants. This is on Cindy's wish list. And then they can place orders to surprise and delight Cindy, for example. So those are some ideas on how to maximize host coaching and really make the catalog work for you. The last tip, and I think that this is the most critical tip all year round, is to make sure that you're booking yourself 90 days out. Now I know we're trained 21 up, book in the next 2 weeks, book in tight. And if you don't have any shows on your calendar, you want to start filling up here. You want to front load as much as you possibly can. But once you've built a comfortable book of business over the next 30 days, then you want to build that out to 60 and then out to 90. I consistently have clients booked 90 days, 3 months, 6 months out because they're actively using a host coaching system that works for them. So they're never losing touch with those people who have booked a show 6 months out. You want to be confident in your business to know that you've got the next 90 days, the next 3 months of your life are locked in. You're booked. Imagine just for a minute how good it feels to know that you don't have to scramble for the next 3 months to try and figure out where the shows are going to come from, where the income's going to come from, where the team sales are going to come from to be able to maintain your title, to be able to maintain your income for the next 3 months. Because then you've got some flexibility. You've got a little freedom in your calendar because you're like, booked. And then if someone says, well, I really want something in December, let's say, and December's booked, well, if an opening comes up, you can call and go, hey, I've got an opening. Do you want that date? Instead of, I'd really like it if you'd book it in November because I really need to get 3 more shows on my calendar so I can win the trip. That's all about you, and they don't care. But when your calendar is full and people want to work with you and they can't get in, number one, that drives desire. But number two, they'll take what comes available if there's any possible way that they can do it. So start working your calendar so that you are consistently booking yourself 90 days out or beyond. Beyond would be great. Wouldn't it be nice to know you've got a whole year's worth of business just waiting? All you have to do is show up and do it. That's what happens when you have a good, strong host coaching system in place. You're staying in contact with your guests and your hosts, and you're doing the legwork that you need to in your business. Now, again, as I said at the beginning, you don't have to do all of this yourself. You can bring on a team of people to help you do some of this stuff, whether it's a VA or a husband or a spouse or a child in the neighborhood or in your own family, or your good friend who's got a couple hours to give during the week and you trade off babysitting. There's lots of different ways to make it happen that don't necessarily require you shelling out money. So stop looking for excuses and start looking for ways to make this a more successful holiday, and watch that holiday season really be the springboard for your fantastic year next year. Because if you have a strong holiday season, it sets you up for a strong first of the year. And we all know a strong first of the year really kind of dictates how the rest of your year is going to go in terms of the shows that you're holding and how you're producing. So that is my holiday wrap-up tip for you guys for this week. I would love to hear your comments. Please leave them on the page below, and we'll talk again soon.